Hello, very good evening to everyone. This is Vans, and yes, today at Kopi with Vans. That's right. So, if you look at our previous talk session, we had doctors who came in, and we have motivation speakers. We have a very big different aspects of understanding the body. But today, we're going to invite someone in and to share her experiences as well. She's a data-driven image branding consultant. She will come and do a bit of an introduction, but I'm just doing a little bit of giving a bit of information. She's one of these most 100 most inspirational LinkedIn icons in Malaysia. She does a lot of interview preparation, corporate training, career development, coachings, and she's into all about corporate. So I'm going to invite her in, and we're going to have a great chat with her as well. So let's invite Ranukka Singham. Hello there.
Hi. Hi. Nice. Thanks for having me in your show as well.
Thank you so much for joining in. You're looking very sharp.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope things are going well with you in Singapore.
Pretty good. I got to say, it's very a different environment at this point of time because I've never stayed at home for more than anything more than 3 hours. So now it's like more than close to 15 hours sometimes. Because
Yeah.
everything is now done home based. So it's a lot of different challenges, different exciting days. Each and day is goes by. How about yourself?
Yeah. I think we've already started getting used to it. It's been about 2 months, yeah, coming into 2 months already. So it's great because I think it when you get to this point where it's already 2 months, you're used to it. You've already started adjusting your life to it. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah, things are still going well.
So I'm sure you have been enjoying this period of time.
Yeah, I think the positive aspect that I see with this is that it has really forced me to rethink my company direction as well, and really look into some aspects that maybe I've been like putting aside in the previous times. Like I always tell myself that I'll do this when I have enough time. I'll do this when I'm at home. Now since I'm at home for like the past 2 months, I've gotten like more things done, which is great. Yeah.
So, so it has shown some positive sign as well because this is the best period of time because we can understand about life. We have spending more time with our family than ever before, and
Yeah.
best part of all this is it's a kind of evolving because we got to understand what is exactly happening. Like I've mentioned in my previous shows that yet a lot of time these viruses just came in and then just took away some of our time and then put us into different challenges areas. But now if you look at it, it's totally different right now. And
Yeah.
we got to learn from what is given to us. So
Mm.
based on that, today's topic, I know that you are a data-driven image branding consultant. What
Yeah.
is it all about? Can you just explain to us so that we move on?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what I do is that I provide sufficient data for individuals as well as companies to understand what is their gap in terms of their image, what kind of perceptions that they are actually portraying out, and from there, I provide sufficient trainings or coaching sessions to people so that they are able to kind of match their perception with their substance and inner values. So essentially it's very customized. It's not kind of like a one training fit all kind of thing. So yeah, it's really important at this moment because even if we talk about like personal branding or professional image for that matter, there is so many types of different occupations out there. People, you tend to different types of client base, right? So like the way how you portray yourself has to be very in line to those kind of things. Yeah, so that's why for me, I really believe in big data, in using data to actually match this kind of parts of your image.
I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
videos about you. You're conducting a lot of seminars and talks as well. So I think today it will be very beneficial for the people who are just viewing us. Let's jump into the topic itself. We talked about matching your perception.
Yeah.
So when we talk about matching your perception and the current situation of COVID-19 has changed us, or rather, put every one of us at virtual. right? Everything is
Yeah,
about virtual right now. But the best thing about this, or the worst thing about this, is of course for some it's a blessing, but for
yeah,
some it is not so blessing because some of their professionals can't be done as a virtual. So
yeah.
it's a challenges for them at during a rough patch at this period of time. What do you think that the future has for us, or even in a couple of months, as COVID has been there? Some companies have already have decided to be at home, work from home for the time being. So, what
Yeah.
has the future have for us?
I think that there's basically split into like two aspects of this question. Like maybe the first thing that I would really want to say is that every one of us, most of us right now, we're working from home, right? And a lot of our businesses are right now taken virtual. Now, the positive aspect, or rather, maybe some people view it as a negative thing, is that right now, your presence is borderless. That means it's not just people from your country that are seeing you and experiencing your business and what you can offer. Everybody else is seeing you, and your first impression, right, or rather the brand that you're showing people, is right now no longer face to face, but rather um, virtually or from your social media platforms. So I think that's something that a lot of people need to start thinking about. Whether you are actually doing you're having a business and you're pivoting to online, your first impression shouldn't be thinking about how you look when you meet your client, but rather how you want to present yourself in your social media platforms. That's the first time people are experiencing you. What do you want to really showcase on that end? Yeah, I think that's really one thing that I want to say. And the second thing is, of course, I do see that in this time, unfortunately, there are also a lot of people where their jobs are being affected, and hence why a lot of people are also trying their best to like um, race into the whole job searching platforms, or like really going out to look for jobs and whatnot. I think taking a step back and really understanding uh, what the market really wants and how are you positioning yourself is really critical, and really being present is also very important. Yeah, so I think all these aspects are some things that maybe few months ago, when before MCO or before COVID, right, we wouldn't have thought about these things, but now it becomes very different. Even for like my scope of coaching, previously it used to be like coaching you of how you look, right, physically. Right now a lot of things are very virtual. So like even for my clients, I coach them on like how they should look in a video call, so Zoom etiquette, those kind of things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it is a new normal. It's uncomfortable to change, but it is necessary. Yeah, and I think it's okay to like take a few days to mope around and be unhappy about it, but after a while, you really need to start, pushing yourself forward and embracing that new normal.
So we got to say it's about adaptation, right?
Yeah,
Uh, Adaptation makes, or rather, repetitive, because a lot of us are very comfortable within the comfort zone. Sometimes when we want to do something that is uncomfort, sometimes we think, hey, you know what, we should not be doing that. We should just go and do the things that is comfortable for us. But having said that, when situation like this been forced upon us, then you got no circumstances or you got no choice. Then you got to evolve with the situation.
yeah,
So can I say that prepare for the greatness, anticipate for the worst?
yeah, definitely.
What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think on that note, right, a lot of times you have to also understand that this situation, I mean, technically speaking, it is a temporary part of it. I Of course, like, when will it finish? When will the whole pandemic be? When will it end? Right, we don't know. It's uncertain, but we know that for sure, for certainty, it will end. So there will come a point where we'll come back into our normal, day-to-day activities and whatnot. So I feel that for businesses right now who feel that they are stagnant and are not really able to bring their businesses online, this is the best time actually for you to really look into your business and understand how you can improve it, develop it in such a way, right, that when everything goes back to normal, you are ready, you are set to go already. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've also gotten some questions from clients as well as people asking me like, what if I really can't do it online? What else can I do, right? And I feel at this moment, consumers are also very keen on like understanding content, knowing knowing what you do, and getting value adding information from you. So take this as a form of advertisement as well, like posting contents, getting people, educating people about what you do is also a form of branding, to be honest. Yeah.
So one of the things that I do, the social media platform, which I love to share with you and see what is your take on that. As much as negative news are there all the time, I'm a firm believer, and I believe that if you keep on going into your social media, and if you see something that is negative, which is obviously right, situations are constantly changing around us, and sometimes it might impact you at any point of time. So I think if there's a negative news, I usually try to delete that off, or I try to take it away. Of course, these actual things are happening, but it's just that
Hmm.
you get involved with that situation too much.
Yeah.
Your energy and that particular energy can sink in, and that is the time the biggest challenge can happen, because you can become negative, you become not motivated, you lose confidence. So there's so much of methods for the holistic of the human
Hmm.
body. So for your expertise, you are coming in as a data-driven image branding consultant. So how do you help people in terms of the different stages of dimension to improve? How's your
Right.
expertise?
I think for me, first and foremost, what I do best is really getting people to understand their end goal. Because again, having coaching sessions or like really helping you transform your image, right? It's not really just like that's like a five step template. Okay, just follow this and then you will get to where you want, right? Because different people, our end goals are different. When I mean end goal, right, is really you need to start visualizing and thinking, right? How do you want people to perceive you? What's the feel, the vibe that you want people to have, right, when they see you for the first time? So having that in mind, right, really gives us a good basis to start when we want to really backtrack and understand, okay, if this is how you want to be perceived, example, you want to be seen as someone that's very trustable, very approachable, then we know that, okay, from your image perspective, how should you actually improve and change for that matter? Yeah. So that's one of the things that I feel it's very value adding in terms of like how you can differentiate yourself from competitors or maybe your peers for that matter.
So can I ask you a question right now?
Yeah.
We first meet up virtually. You look and say, "Wow, Bonan, your beard." So
Yeah, I mean, again, right? You see, the difference between like when I first met you virtually is because I've already seen your social media platform first. Second, I already know that you're a fitness coach, right? So immediately when I see you, right, it's not really the first impression. The first impression I would have of you is when I first saw your LinkedIn profile, for example. But let's say in this matter, if I don't know that you're a fitness coach. I don't know, I've never seen your social media platform, and this is literally my first time seeing you, then yeah, I mean, if I see you, from the top half, I guess I can tell that you're a fit guy, but I wouldn't really know what you do for a living simply because with the specs, the beard kind of throws me off a bit. Yeah.
so I mean, in your walk of life, when you coach, is there people with beard?
Oh yes, yes, of course. Like I think that's the most common thing that many people ask me, especially like for people working in corporates, is it acceptable to have beards and whatnot? And my answer is always the fact that the basis of corporate wear or like these kind of dress codes is really to make sure that you look neat and you look proper and you don't distract people with anything. So beard is fine as long as it's well groomed, it's well taken care of, and it looks proper lah. It looks very in coherence with your entire look. Yeah.
So my next question is, with your expertise. So every interview right now is done by virtual.
Yeah.
So can I just wear my top professionally and below I just wear shorts?
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, like, to be honest, right, it's the best part about right now where we are virtual is that it's just on the top half. You don't really have to bother what you're wearing in the bottom half. But even the top half, right, there's so many things that I always advise people in my platforms that you need to be very mindful of. Because first things first, right, before I go into those details, you need to understand that image is made out of three things, which is A, B, and C. appearance, behavior, and communication. So first things first, let's say you go for an interview and you're already late, right? That's already like at minus point there, that's behavior, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of image, how you look in that video call, first things first is you need to understand people are looking at the top part here. Your fit, how it looks, how well fitted it is really important. When you wear something that's very loose fitting, especially for women, I've seen that before, like very loose fitting blouses, it just looks like too much fabric here because you're sitting down, right? Everything is downwards here, right? And then of course, like the contrast between your background and your blouse is also very important. Many people don't take that into consideration. So I've seen many of them, like, white background, white shirt, and it's like, it's
Okay.
very minimal contrast there. Yeah, like what you have right now, Vanan, is really good. Like the contrast of the blue and the white is very contrasting, and that kind of builds a very memorable impression as well when people see you. So all those little things really play a part, actually.
So can I say that at this point of time when I'm attending an interview, all right? Usually, when we go for an interview, it's like face to face. They look at you and then they judge you, right? I mean, most of the time the interviews are being judged. But now virtually, like I can sit up straight. I'm like, oh yes, a nice background, but that is a different mask that I'm wearing. So, is
Yeah.
there any differences between a virtual interview and an actual interview? There's a huge of difference.
Mm,
But how does the interviewer identify?
I think right now it's relatively similar, I would say. But I guess in terms of like maybe the interviewee, the candidate's perspective is a lot different, right? Because imagine going there face to face meeting the interviewer versus doing it virtually. Of course, when you're doing it virtually, it's you're less nervous, you're more at ease with things, right? But I think because of that lack of physical interaction, the chemistry is also not really easily made, which means, right, you cannot rely on that unspoken chemistry or body language or that rapport building, right, to help you get the job. It's really based on the fact of like your substance, what you're saying, how you're presenting yourself on the video that helps. You know what I mean? So, because sometimes, right, I'm sure you've been through this kind of experience where when you go and meet the interviewer, without, I mean, just a few sentences, immediately the bond is there already. That person just subconsciously, they just like you. So whatever
Yeah.
you do, right, you are already at the winning, you're already at the upper hand, you're winning it already, you're acing it. But with the video thing, right, you don't have that kind of that kind of intangible rapport building factor in it. So it's just really like it is what it is, lah. What you say and how it's being perceived, it's just very much on the content itself already.
Is there any,
Yeah.
is there any pointers where employers look at when they're doing a virtual interview? Why I ask that question is because in my previous employment, I've done tons and tons of interviews. The one thing that I always look for is the hungerness in the
Yeah.
individual. He might
The
not be
what? Sorry.
popular, that staying focused and hungry all the time. Or there's a
Okay.
purpose behind that determination because he needs a job because he needs to support his family. He needs a job because he's going to get married, or he needs a job because he's taking care of his siblings. Something that inspirational must be
Yeah.
within. When I find any indication about that, you are hired. But then
Okay.
it's coachable. But the current situation, people don't really give all about that, right? Now they look at it, so okay, you have so much of certifications, fine.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't look good. You cannot speak certain languages. Okay, we call you back, right? Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
how do we? It's a bit tough, but how do we
Yeah.
make sure that the word that you used earlier to impress the interviewer? How is that possible?
Okay. Well, I agree with what you say. I think a lot of notion of I guess the perception of how hiring managers or maybe companies are seeing the current generation is that there's a high sense of entitlement, meaning to say you should hire me, right? I'm all that, you should totally hire me, right? But having said that, right now, as you can see with this current situation, the job market, the supply is definitely higher than the demand, right? So you've got to really be there impressing people. And I would say, right, to be very honest with you, the fact that when you're in the video call itself, that is not the majority part of the interview or the process that you should go through to impress to impress the hiring manager. I think a lot of preparation beforehand is really important, and which is why I always tell candidates, right, it really pays for you to investigate and stop the person that's going to be interviewing you. Know about the company, know who is interviewing you. You want to know who this person's interviewing? Easy. Just go to LinkedIn, Google, put his name in. I'm sure you can find a lot of information. All these things, right, really shows the interviewer that you took the extra effort to really go and find all this information, and that kind of translates to that hungriness that you were mentioning just now, where you're really keen, like you're very genuine in wanting this job. And then, of course, like when you come to the interview, it's really right now, as you know, it's video call. So a lot of it is up to how the interviewer is looking at the substance and whatnot. But after the interview, right, proper follow up, really knowing how to, follow up with a call, a thank you note, all these little things, right, are very important. And unfortunately, even before when I was under employment, when I see candidates coming for interview sessions, I almost rarely get these kind of things. And I would feel that the ones that do that, really, I would have a different impression towards them. Yeah. So I would say it's the entire process from the before you meet the interviewer, right until after that. Yeah.
It's also show us that the individual that's applying for the job application, it shows the eagerness, the determination, the attitude, the
Yeah.
confidence. But for me, basically when I interview, there's only one person like I mentioned to you, because the eagerness, because if he has a goal or if he has a focus in life, then I'm pretty sure that it will benefit for him for the upcoming years to come by. He or
Yeah.
she doesn't need to thank me if they're successful. But to me, I felt that as at point of time as an interviewer, I have done my job. I've given you an opportunity. Is for you to rock and roll.
Yeah.
For those who make it are successful. For those who don't make it, perhaps they find something else. But I think it's individually, if you look at it, I think it's the character and the discipline is much needed than anything else.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you do interview, people come and they brag, "Oh, I've done this. I've got so many years of experiences." The way you look at the body languages tells a lot of things about a person.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's very true. Especially the fact that, like you mentioned just now, some people, they talk a big game, lah. You know what I mean? Like when they come in, it's all that they say what you want to hear. But I think experienced interviewers can smell that out, lah. And what you say is also spot on. Sometimes body languages can also really make a difference in, like, when they tell a lie. Sometimes you can also feel it that way. Yeah. Yeah, so it's really a combination of all. Of course, like when some people kind of like rebut with me on this aspect, where they say that, so are you saying that if I look good for the interview, I would get the job? Then I say, no, of course I'm not asking you to go there as an empty vase. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that when you look good, you present yourself well, you behave well, you are able to articulate well, you have one foot in. And that's where your substance and inner value is able to have an opportunity to shine. Because if you don't even have that, right, people see you, they cannot even picture you in their organization. You what There's nothing else to say, you don't even have a chance to go in anymore. So I'm just saying that having the right image gives you a ticket in, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will stay in there forever. That's because after that you're on your own. Your substance, what you have, your qualification, that's where it has to start flourishing in.
I think constant upgrading is very important.
Yeah.
Keep on learning, because especially in Singapore, if you look at it, there's so many organizations, there's so many groups, or even the government provided training facilities. They're constantly
Yeah.
talking about upgrading, because I'm a person who totally believe in upgrading, because a period like this or time like this, it's very crucial for the individual to constantly upgrade.
Mm.
Uh, call it the master. You have a master, right? You master in every kind of professionalism. It is impossible, but if you have the drive, why not?
Yeah.
Uh, we often hear this. Probably you'll agree or disagree with me that you don't need a plan B, because if your plan A is damn good, you don't need a plan B. But
Ah.
you are in the alphabet. That's A to Z. There's so many alphabets. So if you are trained and have different skills, and the situation around us will put us into that particular position, and that particular post or the particular job application is vulnerable at this point in time, Your skill set actually help you to fit in temporarily for this situation to go off, and then you spring back again as quickly as you can when things get normal.
Mm,
I also see a lot of individual at this point of time I've spoken to. They said, you know what, let COVID be. It's time for me to rest. It's time for me to take a step back because I'm getting fundings. I'm fine. So there's only one word that I want to tell the person. You don't wait for things to change. You got to change yourself. For the things to change, you will be a best person. So
mm.
constant upgrading is not there for some. What is your take
Yeah.
on that?
Oh, I definitely agree on that as well. I think times are very different. Even let's not talk about 10 years ago, 5 years ago, right? Um, in fact, I was just sharing this with like one of my friends. Like some job designations that I've never heard of 5 years ago exist right now. You know what I mean? So things are moving so rapidly, right? In order for you to stay relevant, it is really important for you to upgrade yourself and be present and be seen. So I feel that upgrading is important, but in some ways, right, letting people know the fact that there is this that you have actually upskill yourself, that you are different, is important. So I think one part of personal branding that is very relevant to this topic is also learning to strategically position yourself in a way where it doesn't seem like you're bragging, but in essence, you're also showcasing that you are all of these aspects. Yeah. So yeah, it's really important on that aspect, especially for people who are underemployment. If you're in a team where there's many peers, you have a whole group of them. How do you really stand out? To be honest, for in a big organization. So I would say that upgrading, upskilling, positioning yourself well. These are like the three things that I would definitely advise anyone that's underemployment.
Is it could be also one of the reasons that people are not comfortable in new jobs, or they're willing to approach professionals to understand where they are? Because if you need to know your weaknesses, it's always good to realize yourself. But if you know that you have a particular issue and you don't seek help, then probably you will not be able to improve on that.
Yeah,
And also with this situation, the COVID has changed people overnight. So those who are very successful are not so successful, and we only see a downgrade of individual to a different dimension, and
mm,
it's a bit challenging for them, especially on the lower tier, where people who go to work 8 to 5, and work very hard, to bring back whatever they have for the family. So for that particular job has been demolished at this point of time, maybe could be, it has been, it's a big challenge for them as well, because if you go and tell them to upgrade, or if you go and tell them to improve on their lifestyle, oh, you need to be confident, it's going to be a big challenge for them. So again,
mm,
I'm coming from the holistic as well as you. I think the confidence and the determination, okay, it's okay, let's look for another opportunity. So opportunities are there, but it's just that whether are you willing to walk that extra mile to improve yourself to get the job.
yeah,
But there's also another word that came in, like the pride and the ego. Oh, I don't want to work as a storeman. I was a manager. That's not the job for me. So people tend to become a little picky, and I think that is more related to the ego and the pride, because what they were before and what they are right now, they still do not want to go back to the situation. So that's a bit difficult to change that, because it's attitude and mindset.
yeah, that's true. I think you're also very right to point out that especially like let's say if I take an example for my coaching sessions, right? Of course, people who I feel that truly need the coaching session might internally feel that it's not something that is a priority for them right now, and I feel like it's a very chicken and egg thing. Like you want to be better, but you don't want to invest your time and money in it. But then you feel that why are you not getting better? So I feel that it's really just that mindset mentality, that mindset of like knowing what your end goal is, what do you want to achieve, and how can you get there. If you can get there by yourself, then fine and well. But if this is something that you're lacking and you require assistance, let's say getting a fitness coach to achieve your your goals, your ideal weight, for example, then you have to really open your mind and heart and be ready to accept that you need to get assistance out there. Yeah. So I think it's really that's one of the things that I see, yeah, that I experience as well right now.
even in your field and even in my field, we meet tons and tons of people. And I got to agree with you that during this period of time, we probably seeing more people than ever before because
Yeah.
speaking virtually, we are talking around, we're moving in seminars and conferences. But one thing that I've learned within this 1 month, I got to be very humble here. I mean, there's no shyness. That every day is a learning journey. Every
Yeah.
day is a learning journey because the one thing that I've learned that if you put your ego and your pride at the lowest level as possible, right? At
Mm-hmm.
lowest level of the feet. Some people say, no, you need pride. No, you need to be ego. But these are the two indicators that bring someone down completely. So if you can just lower down that and focus what needed to be done, I think
Yeah.
there's more room for improvement and opportunities coming along the way because recently there's a couple of positions that was open, which I know. And then I talked about, hey, you know what? There's some jobs that's available right now. Do you want to work test? And then this particular person told me, oh no, you know what? That job doesn't suit me. I said, why? They're paying you, you know? No, it's not for me. So I'm like, So again, some
Mm,
people are coming in. Uh, Perhaps they may not be able to accept it that failure has happened to them because of it. But there's always one thing that I believe: if you let the situation control you, you will be a victim of that.
yeah,
So you must be always
definitely.
conquer the situation and you be cruising through. So that's one of my advice or tip for people out there to be always be confident, be always be no excuses, basically no excuses. You just got
Yeah.
to do what is needed.
Yeah, I mean, like it's true, because I think at this moment, like you mentioned, we are in a very different times, and you need to be humble enough to ask for help when it's needed, lah. And even for me, I think even the fact that I do image and branding, I don't know everything about image and branding. It's not. I mean, I'm not an encyclopedia, right? I don't know everything. And it is okay to admit that you don't know and you need help. Same thing for people who are struggling right now with employment. It's okay to fall, but as long as you are brave enough to admit that you require assistance and help, that's most important. Yeah.
Okay, we're coming to almost 33 minutes. It was a
Okay.
good conversation that's going along the way. And if people are tuning in and if you have some burning questions for Ranukka Singham, please post it out. We are trying to take it up. We are not experts, but I think we have the experiences that we went through over a past 2, 3 decades. So we are able to share these experiences with you. I have one more question that in my mind before we cool down. We call it a warm down, right? We warmed up, and now we have been doing the warm down. Constant upgrading and
Mm-hmm.
development is very crucial during these challenges. I mean, I guess we talked about it earlier on, but I'd like to bring it back again. Do I wait for things to happen, or can I make things happen?
Or you definitely have to make things happen. I think right now, right, one thing that I was also like talking with some of my colleagues at this moment is that yes, we are in this situation, but we are blessed that we have technology in our hands. There's so many things that you can do. It's just a matter of being creative. So I think at this moment, like I know some like if we go back to the examples I shared just now, some businesses who feel that there are absolutely no way for them to actually do things online. Really, you just have to think outside of the box. Like I actually had the privilege of being in a network meeting once, and I know of this lady who runs a hair salon chain. And guess what? She's doing online live tutorial of teaching people how to cut their own hair at this moment. You see, it's really just about how you pivot yourself and be creative about it. Honestly, sitting there and thinking that no, it's not my time now. No, let me just chill for a bit. No, it's okay. After 2 months, once things are better, then I'll go back. Guess what? When you go back, right, your consumers, your clients, right, have already had eyeballs of your competitors. They've already known about your competitors. They've been exposed to your competitors. So what are you gonna do? Honestly, right? You are already like 10,000 steps behind. So I feel like it's not too late. Just take charge of your life, really take charge of your own narrative, and don't wait for things to happen.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Ranukka. We had a fantastic 30 minutes of talking about interview applications, because I think at this point of time, when when someone go for interview, how they should be, what kind of questions they should be expecting, how do we look. So I think this is a very a great pleasure sharing this interview process, because all the interviews that you look at this point of time, it's all done virtual. Every interview, right? No one is going down
Yeah.
physically to the interview. So I think it's very important to share with us, because you train people, in all aspect of areas of development. So I think it's very crucial, very important that you share with us. And I think it's very important. But is there something that you want to give away for our viewers, because they can revisit to our video and post us questions and ask us anything. But at this point of time, we have about almost about 8 people that is online right now. Is there anything that you want to tell them that it will be useful for them during this period of time?
I think it's very important for you to really take some time to think about, like, as I mentioned before, the first impression or the perception that you want people to have towards you. And since right now, those of you that are in Singapore, or like even for us in Malaysia, right, you're at home, take some time to go through that whole motion of learning what you want people to think of about you, and create your social media platform, and really angle it in such a way that they would have that kind of mindset when they see it. Yeah, I think that's very important.
I think there are two aspects that I want to share here. One is those who are currently employed, and another group is trying to get employed. I think they both are facing some situations, right? Those who, I mean, I know a few people in the same industry of my fitness line, and they have lost their job previously or currently. So they have done certain other jobs which I know, which is perfectly fine. So I think accepting, and it's not about you giving the privilege to others to make a judgment, but it's more rather how you look at it, because at the end of the day, it's about yourself, it's about your family and your loved ones. So you got to drop that ego or pride away, so that you can be able to be moving forward and getting prepared. So that's one of the topic that we talked about, right? Prepare for the greatness and anticipate for the worst. So if we have that in the mind, that we always say, okay, I'm preparing for the best, right? Our path are always not smooth like bed of roses. There's always a bit of thorns along the way. You've got to
Mm,
stop and feel the pain. I think the most important here, what I would like to share is, you got to constantly evolving, because if you always let yourself the question mark as how things going to be, when things going to be better, why are
mm,
things happening, when things, so you're not going to move anywhere. And then
mm.
the point that you bring in very nicely, Ranukka, you say that constant learning is important, constant development is important, and constant changing is also important in a person's um, mechanism, I believe. So I think
Yeah,
it comes with attitude, it comes with confidence, and it also comes with the drive they have within. If not, things are just going to go more serious as times get involved.
yeah, yeah,
So
that's true.
thank you so much for spending almost 40 minutes with me.
Most
It
welcome.
was a pleasure connecting with you. I'm
Yes.
sure a lot of good things are going to happen for sure, because uh, I'm also speaking in panels. I'm sure you're also speaking, and I also saw some of your speeches in conferences. I think post COVID is going to be a very great collaboration, because it's going to be a bigger seminars coming in where we're going to cover a big holistic fitness, talk about health, talk about branding, talk about self image. It's just about self care,
Yeah,
and that's the
definitely.
part.
Yeah, great things to come. Exciting.
All right. So thank you so much
Okay.
again, and
Thanks
I
for
will be
having me.
with you for
All
now.
right.
Bye. See ya.
Take care.
Okay.